Very good afternoon. This is the brief at 30 for the Newsfirst team. I am Rochelle Tumodra. Now, first up in your local news, the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, the IGP and the government printer have once again been summoned to the Election Commission tomorrow. The Commission said matters regarding the holding of the election will be discussed with the officials. Meanwhile, all opposition parties have written to the Election Commission demanding them to conduct the local government polls on the 19th of March. The group had requested a meeting with the Election Commission at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Election Commission announced it will discuss further with the relevant institutions, including the Ministry of Finance, and announce its decision on the date of the local government election before Thursday, as per the order issued by the Supreme Court. Now, after over 20 years, the UN has agreed upon the text of the historic High Seas Treaty, the world's first international treaty aimed at protecting millions of species that inhabit the world's oceans. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Tarak Balasurian says that Sri Lanka actively participated and contributed to the process.
After more than 20 years of negotiations, over 100 member states of the United Nations on Saturday finally agreed upon the text of the historic High Seas Treaty, the world's first international treaty aimed at protecting the millions of species that inhabit the world's oceans. The High Seas Treaty places 30% of the seas into protected areas by 2030, aiming to safeguard and recuperate marine nature. The agreement was reached on Saturday evening after 38 hours of talks at the UN headquarters in New York. The negotiations had been held up for years over disagreements on funding and fishing rights. The last international agreement on ocean prevention was signed 40 years ago in 1982, the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. When Newsfirst reached out to State Minister of Foreign Affairs Tarak Balasurian in this regard, he said that, quote, Sri Lanka actively participated and contributed to the process, unquote. He added, quote, an agreement was reached following more than a decade of discussions on the 4th of March 2023 by UN member states to have an internationally legally binding instrument on the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity beyond areas of natural jurisdiction under the United Nations Law of the Sea, unquote. That agreement established an area called the High Seas International Waters where all countries have a right to fish, ship and do research, but only 1.2% of these waters are protected. Marine life living outside of these protected areas have been at risk from climate change, overfishing and shipping traffic.
And that's a wrap of your news for this hour. Thank you for joining us.